Yeah, we bring reviews of your house, talk to our dudes of your house. I bring my views of your house, wrestling truths of your house. We talk to you in your house, we keeps it cool in your house, we keeps it cool in your house. I'm spitting truths in your house.
Yeah. Mark's hating on his fans, Becky Nish on the man. Play with two like a lion, household a dangerous alliance. I am a diamond like Cody, and I'm overcoming like Kobe. No, they cannot hold me. Come listen, I'm hosting, critiquing, I'm boasting. This wrestling I'm knowing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to In Your House, starring Alakan Howse. This is the People Podcast. Haha. Hey guys, you already know who it is. It's your boy Con, ready to get at work when it comes to this professional wrestling business. That is what we do, and hey, we love it. So let me let you guys know where you guys can listen to this at. You guys can listen to this at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Himalaya. Hey, you don't have an Apple device? That's alright. We're on Google Play. Anywhere that you guys are, we can get to you. And ooh, where is the clock? I'm checking the time because last time that I checked, In Your House was the hottest professional wrestling podcast in the Midwest, because we hit them with that wire, round the clock. You guys already know what it is. Oh yes, the director is in the house, and in your house for another edition of the Black Awareness Summit, where we are raising awareness of the issues going down in our country. The racial tension has never been at the high that it is right now, and we're right here in the midst of it. But we at In Your House feel like it is our responsibility to help educate, to help you understand, to help inform you, because one thing that you don't want to be in these times of uncertainty is uninformed. Hey guys, I gotta say, my throat just, it's been hurting a little bit. I talked a little bit about it, the Waka Unity over in Middletown, Indiana, and I got a chance to speak at it, and it was an amazing opportunity to just say what our people's talking about, man. What we've been saying, some of the issues, and I didn't even get a chance to air it all out there, but I did the very best that I could, just to kind of put it out there, and I've been doing my part. But also, I want to thank you guys out there for making In Your House one of the top 100 professional wrestling podcasts in the United States on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much. That was amazing to see that. You guys are killing it with the shirts too. As you guys know, we are donating all the profits to the Minnesota Freedom Fund and also the Bail Project. So that's what we're working on there. And you know, we talk a lot about here, guys. We've talked a lot about the attack on black men, the attack on black men, the attack on the black man from the cops, and that's very true. It's true. There is an attack, but we cannot forget one of our most important and dire resources in the world, and that's our black women. So we have to make sure that they are staying informed and staying on top of things too. Because there's not just an attack on black men, it's all African Americans. And I feel like, me personally, we've covered we've covered the racism so much. I mean, everything that has been said, you know, at this point, guys, it's just gonna be repeating ourselves. You know what I mean? That's kind of why I've stopped with the dialogues on the internet, because I realized that we were just talking in circles. Nobody was understanding each other. So I don't want to pound home the racism so much as I have. It's there. We all know it's there. But now I want to highlight black people within our community and things that we're doing. We have so much black businesses that don't get noticed. You know, and it's time to really start putting people on notice of black entrepreneurship and what you can do for yourself and keeping yourself healthy, because that's very important too. You got to keep yourself healthy. You know what I mean? You gotta keep working. You gotta keep working, guys. You guys know what it is. So this for this episode, I thought it was time. I thought it was time to really switch things up and get a whole different perspective that we haven't had since we started the Black Awareness Summit, and that's from a woman's perspective. You know, from a business owner. You know, a owner of a nonprofit organization of holistic health, and she's been doing this for so many years. I mean, the grind has been unmatched, untouchable. You know, she's dedicated her life to trying to raise awareness to health and letting everybody know what lupus is all about. And that is my cousin, the owner of the Howse Foundation, Kimberly Howse. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking. Unfortunately, in these times, I'm actually doing really well. Thank God.
Oh, if you can say that in these times, then you're doing. You know, you're blessed, because it's crazy out there right now.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you for allowing me to be on the show. Thank you for welcoming me in your house. I'm super appreciative to share my side and just be here with you, my cousin.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. It's always great to have the family on, and you know, I feel like I really called in the big guns for this one, Kim, because it's an issue that is near and dear to all of us. You know, we're proud of our culture. We're proud of who we are, you know. So I couldn't think of a better opportunity to be like, you know what? I have a lot of people in my family that's making noise and doing very important things, that it's time to bring them on and have their voices heard, and just to have my listeners, the household out there, the 14 different countries all across these United States and locally right here in Indiana, to hear Black excellence speak. And not you know, you see all these things about hashtag Black excellence, this and that all over the internet, but how many often do you get a chance to hear Black excellence speak? So I decided to do my part and bring Black excellence on here. So now you are the founder of the Howse Foundation. Can you break that down a little bit for my audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I myself was diagnosed with lupus in 2005. And, you know, I battled through the entire cycle that most people diagnosed with a chronic illness deal with, which is, you know, denial, anger, depression, and, you know, just dealing with being diagnosed with really kind of an unknown or unheard about disease at such a young age. You know, it's hard to deal with. And I decided, you know, after my diagnosis that the things that I had gone through, which were, you know, being hospitalized, feeling alone, basically almost dying to the point where, you know, I was creating a will and figuring out once I did pass what I do with my things, you know, stuff like that, just getting to that low of a point in my health at such a young age, and not fully understanding what was going on with my body. And by the grace of God, surviving that and deciding that I never, ever wanted anyone to go through what I went through, or to feel alone as I had felt upon the first year of my diagnosis. So I decided to start a support group, and it started off as Howse Foundation. And I just wanted to be able to create a place where people could come for a sense of connection, a place where people could meet and talk with other people who actually understood their feelings and their concerns, and at the same time to learn and share ways to help each other fight back loneliness and isolation, all of which can actually boost emotional and physical well-being. So upon starting the support groups, those were really successful. Now they've expanded to Alameda. We have another support group host in Riverside, California, and a group in Rancho Cucamonga. So it all started with me, going through a troublesome time in my life and just wanting to give back to the community what I felt like was missing.
Yes, absolutely. No, I hear that. And you've done so well. I mean, years and years of no problem. No, seriously. I mean, you've been driving that home for a really long time, and it's been, from my eye, it's been successful. And anything that you're passionate about, as long as you keep it going and don't stop, that I consider that a success. And you've done just that. You've done just that, and no problem. And you've worked really hard at it. So let me ask you this, just to kind of keep our listeners engaged and let them let them know. Can you kind of break down what exactly lupus is for anybody that might not understand?
Absolutely, and I'm so happy that you asked. A lot of times I talk about lupus so much I forget to do that part. So lupus is a chronic autoimmune disease, and in lupus, any part of your entire body can be affected. So I always tell people, like, literally from the tips of your hair to the tips of your toes and everything in the in between can be attacked because of lupus. I've lost hair, I've lost fingernails, I've had organ damage. It causes rashes. So basically, where in a normal person's immune system, foreign invaders are attacked by your immune system, and it usually will fight off the bacteria or the virus or the flu, whereas in a person with lupus, your immune system is overactive, causing it to constantly be attacking your healthy tissue, just constantly attacking your body. So in lupus, something goes wrong with your immune system, and it starts attacking all of your healthy tissues. As a result, it creates autoantibodies that attack and destroy healthy tissue. So that's where you get like the joint pain, damage in various parts of the body. A lot of people experience fatigue, painful swollen joints, muscle aches, headaches, fever, swelling, pain in your chest, rashes across their whole body. And most people with lupus are sensitive to sun or ultraviolet light. So because of that, most people with lupus are unable to be in the sun or in any type of high photo light area that emits UV rays. We experience hair loss. I've lost all of the hair on my head at least 2 times. A lot of people experience hair loss, and some people, their hair doesn't come back. I fortunately was able to get mine back by receiving some Kenalog injections from a dermatologist, but a lot of people don't grow their hair back. You get blood clotting, vasculitis, or Raynaud's phenomenon in your fingers or toes, mouth and nose ulcers, depression and anxiety, even dry eyes, blurred vision, memory loss, confusion. I mean, these are just some of the symptoms that we experience. So lupus is an autoimmune disease, but there's so much to it. I could sit up here and probably take up your whole show just telling you about all the types of things that could happen to people with lupus.
I understand, and it's something serious, and that's why I'm glad you're raising awareness about it and helping out who needs that type of assistance. Now, one thing that I was noticing is you were kind of talking about the depression and the anxiety, and I can only imagine these days right now. Well, I can imagine being a black man, but I can't imagine as a black woman the anxiety that you're probably feeling in this day and age with the current climate of racism going on. I mean, when you're seeing this stuff on your TV, on your phone, scrolling the Facebook feed, what's going on through your mind as you're seeing just this tension that's going on today?
That's such a great question, and it's a loaded question too, because specifically with me and with someone that has lupus, being that lupus affects mostly women, 90% of the people affected by lupus are women, and it's more prevalent among people of color and mostly, of course, African American women. So we're African American women, Black women, are always subject to some sort of stress on a daily basis. And all people are, but I in this instant, I'm focusing on Black women, and to see our Black men, and to even say that I myself am married to a Hispanic man, but seeing my Black brothers being abused the way that they have been, it truly does something to your soul, as a Black woman. And stress is actually one of the main contributing factors to lupus flare-ups. So once you've lived with lupus for a long time, you have to understand what to do and how to deal with that stress. So for me, I had to take several steps back, get really deep into my prayer life, get into nature, and just really, really calm that stress down, because honestly, the things that I wanted to do and the way that I wanted to react, I knew would only cause more damage and stress. So it's been hard. Watching that video was probably one of the hardest things I've ever seen. But, unfortunately, this happens often in the Black community, and fortunately, it's being aired so that everyone can see and hopefully feel and understand a little bit more what we see regularly. But this one hit different, obviously, the reaction is different. And I think that we have to learn how to take a step back and remember how to deal with our emotions. And that's something that I've been blessed to learn how to do with being diagnosed with lupus.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a big thing. That's a big thing. I had a kill on here a couple episodes ago, and he was basically talking about generational trauma, and it kind of ties into what you were saying as far as how to check our emotions. Do you feel like that's something within our community that we within ourselves need to work on, and that's how we react to cops? And because I think it's just, for me, I see it as two animals scared of each other. You know what I mean? I see it like Black people are like, oh well, you come up saying, you come up here and F the police and oh, I don't trust them, so you learn that. That's something that you learn, right? So then you have the cops that are naturally afraid of Black people, period. Escalation on both ends are already at a 6 or a 7. They're already high. You know what I mean? So do you think that that's something within our community that we need to work on, is maybe not, bust up and puff up our chest at the cops, before things even need to escalate? Is that something that you feel like we need to work on too?
That's such a great question. And I'm going to first say that I think that the cops who are trained to handle situations like this on a regular basis, that they need to check their emotions, and that they need to reform, and that they need to figure out how to handle people, whether they're aggressive, whether they have mental illness, whether they're just afraid. I think they're the ones that need to, because that's what they're paid to do. You know what I mean? We as law-abiding citizens, we don't know how to handle an encounter like that, especially if we're getting pulled over for a traffic stop. Or let's just say you wrote a forgery check. Not saying that any of these things are okay or anything like that, but whatever act you're doing, whether it be as simple as running a stop sign or committing a felony, your encounter with the police should never be one that is escalated because of the police officer. You know what I mean? So I would start off by answering your question and saying that the change needs to happen there. However, because of unconscious biases that are learned in society, whether it be from, just embedded in us and being raised throughout our family or our social circle or the media, sometimes we have things implanted in our heads. So right now, I'm sure a lot of people, especially Black people, are afraid to get pulled over because of all of the things that we see on the media. Right now, even just driving down the street when I see a cop, as a matter of fact, a great story today. My husband and I are driving, and we see this Black guy in a really nice car, and his rear view light is out. And we just felt it necessary to let him know, because we don't want, there to be reason for them to get pulled over. And I don't know, this is a young kid, and who knows how he'll react. He might be scared. He might run. And because he's afraid, he'll end up, hopefully not, but it's a possibility and a strong possibility that he'll get hurt and possibly killed. So we definitely, as a society, as a Black community and society, need to evaluate these ideas that are embedded in our belief system, because they are activated unconsciously, and I think that we do tend to react sometimes maybe out of fear or maybe out of anger. And just because, we see all this stuff going on in the news, it doesn't mean that every time and every way we react is right either. So it would be good to be able, I think what I wish is that we had police chiefs and different entities in the government that would sit down and recognize that first, before they condemn the actions of any criminal or unarmed person that may be experiencing police brutality, I wish that they would first take accountability for where they've gone wrong and have a sit-down conversation with the community on how we could fix it, rather than, President Trump right away saying, these acts are going to be condemned with shooting for the looting, so that just creates more hate and creates more anger. And it's just like, this is going to continue to create more fuel to the fire. So we definitely need to take a step back. And but I've also heard people say they're tired of us always having to be the bigger person too. So it's so many different ways.
It's a catch-22 in a way, and for me, I think we all have our little militant side, but at the end of the day, I feel like we got to have those talks, open up that dialogue, and it's not going to be comfortable. That's the thing. Those conversations, and I think that's so big in this situation. Is so many people don't want to turn around on their ideas. They don't want.
Why? Because ego.
Egos. Yep, that's what it is.
Their ego gets in the way, and these individuals are unable to clearly communicate that, hey, there are some biases out there, but they are absolutely undesirable and unacceptable. But people aren't willing to admit fault. People, they don't want to feel shame. They want to feel like they're right. And that just has everything to do with their ego,
Hey guys, this is the director, Howse of In Your House, and this episode is sponsored by Podcorn. Podcorn is a marketplace connecting podcasters to amazing podcast sponsorship opportunities such as host read ads, interview segments, topical discussions, and more. With Podcorn, there is no middleman. Podcasters of all sizes can browse and choose opportunities right on the platform, set their own rates, and collaborate with brands directly without any exclusivities. You never give up any rights to your podcast, and Podcorn is here to support you at every step to ensure you're protected and compensated for the work that you do for brands. The marketplace mission is to give podcasters transparency, creative control, and freedom, and full control of how and when they monetize. So check the show notes on this episode and you will see a link to www.podcorn.com/podcasters.
But now, it's time to get back to In Your House.
Yeah, yep, you're right about that. That's the thing, and you see it all the time on these, on these comments online and everything, and that's really why I've stopped with those dialogues, because you're trying to come from a place of trying to educate somebody, and they're taking it as an attack, and then they're attacking you, and it just gets to a point where it's like, I can only sit up here on this phone and argue with somebody that I don't know for so long before I'm like, man, this is really silly, because I'm not going to change your mind, I'm just not going to change your mind. But luckily for me, I have this platform so I can just talk. But there's a lot of. No, please, no, go ahead.
I'm sorry, and I was going to say too that, and it goes a lot to leadership.
Yeah.
So I think that our leadership sets the example, and not even just like talking about the president, but even just like in bringing it back to the lupus community, even to just like doctors. I mean, when you go into a hospital and right away, if you are an African American, a black patient, these doctors are going to assume that you're more likely to abuse drugs, and therefore they feel like you should have less access to them. So people with lupus are in regular, constant, unpredictable pain, and they go to these doctors and hospitals seeking help, and automatically, because of their race, simply just because of their race, they're not able to receive better pain treatment or better management for their disease, because people are thinking that they're just trying to use or abuse drugs. And honestly, and I can't even say honestly, because this is not my opinion, factually, it's actually the opposite. Black people are not more likely the ones to be abusing these drugs. But it's just what's been embedded into these people's minds. And unfortunately, our African American women are suffering in our health. And even Martin Luther King Jr., he said, of all forms of inequity, injustice in the healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. And our Black women, we're the birthers of Black men, and we're the birthers of our future leaders and people that are out there doing what they're doing today. So our health needs to be a priority. You know what I mean? And when we go into these hospitals and they're treating us this way, and they're not taking us seriously, we already deal with depression.
Yeah.
The Black women deal with so much in life. And I know that myself, because being a single mother, going through corporate America, and just seeing how people treat you, Black women deal with a lot of depression, and a lot of times we're looked at as weak when we try to express what we're going through. And because of that, this depression ends up manifesting itself into pain, into physical pain and health concerns. And, if your mom, if your Black mom is not there and well and available to take care of you, it shows its effect, long term in the world. You know what I mean? So, gosh, it's such a deep thing, and it's why my passion for this, I don't think, will ever die, because there's so many areas that are overlooked, and I feel like, and this is why I tell people, listen, unless you are a woman of color, unless you're a man of color, unless you are a Black man, in this time of my life, don't tell me what to do with my emotions, because you will never understand what it's like to be pulled over, to be profiled because of your race. You'll never understand that. So a lot of times people say, well, you shouldn't be reacting this way, and you shouldn't. I feel like everyone's just reacting the way that they're reacting. Hey, power to you. Keep doing it. Just be careful. You know what I mean? But it's like people have a lot of anger inside they need to release. And this is just a part of what we have to go through to release it. No, of course, if we know better, we can do better. But right now, people are just doing what they know to do, and that's release their anger, and that's okay, because it's important. We have to, but it's a lot of ways within the Black community that we need to cater to our emotional, mental, and spiritual health, because we need it. We as a Black community, we are not receiving the type of support mentally and emotionally that we need.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Just hearing a lot of what you're saying, it really gets me thinking, because it's like I said earlier, our Black women are one of our most precious resources, and to hear all the stuff that you guys have to go through. I mean, I think about it a lot from a man's perspective, just because I'm constantly alert with what I got going on, but sometimes I gotta step outside of step outside of my scope and understand what a Black woman has to go through. And hearing you say that is just so heavy. So basically, and with the success that you've had with that Howse Foundation, you did receive a little bit of pushback. Well, maybe not pushback the right word, but maybe lack of trust, because you were a woman of color as you were trying to move through the corporate world.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, I can remember, I used to work in retail, and I did really well with the launch of my stores, with the performance in my stores, so much so that anytime a new store opened, they would have asked me to, basically fill the store, launch it, get it going, because I did a really good job of that, and I'm really proud of that. And when I was sent over to this company's flagship store, it happened to be, mostly non-people of color, and they were very, very, not even just intimidated, but they were angry that a woman my age, because I was only about 25 years old, and a woman, a woman of my color was in there telling them what to do. They did not know how to handle that. It was so intimidating to them that they did everything they could to get me fired. So the stress of dealing with that is what brought about my lupus, my first lupus, even knowing that I had lupus. The stress of dealing with that, being a single mom, and then just everywhere I turned around, people trying to get me fired just because they didn't like this young Black woman in their faces telling them what to do. It just was too much for them. And then, of course, as soon as I, was diagnosed with lupus, that right away it was like, okay, well, you don't need to work here anymore. Let's move you back to a kiosk, in one of our lower performing stores. And it was definitely a hit to my ego and everything. But I took it with pride and with grace and class, and still just bang the sales out in the store that they moved me to. But unfortunately, my health started to get the best of me, and asking for a simple thing like, hey, I just need to be able to have a stool to sit on every 15 to 20 minutes, because I can't stand for long periods of time anymore. And so right away they were trying to find reasons to make that a reason to fire me. And so a lot of people will be scared by that, and they might quit or stop coming to work. But a lot of people don't realize you have rights. You have, things that you can, and it's okay for you to ask for in work, and they're supposed to accommodate you. But it's hard, because in the long run, these businesses are out, for the dollar. So if you're costing them any of that, they'll do anything they can to get you out of it. And that's why I feel like my passion within this community is to see people healthy and happy and healing, because people only want to deal with you for so long when you're sick. Like my mom always says, when you're sick for too long, people don't care anymore, So it became a point for me to say, you know what, I can't live in this forever. I got to figure out ways to get out of it. So what I feel separates the Lupus Howse Foundation from other organizations is where our mission, goals, and focus is, which is living a healthier lifestyle. So we definitely provide the support, but we also are very much focused on providing holistic options and ways to get off of medication. Different ways to help you feel supported and have easier access to healthier lifestyle. So you'll probably see me talk a lot about alternative options, especially cannabis. You'll see me talk a lot about eating natural and organic foods, doing cleanses, and prayer and meditation, simply because I am focused on what we can do to get out of that cycle of continued medication and then more medication to fight off side effects from all the medication. So, that's kind of like where we try to go with our movement in the foundation, is focusing on getting you out of that cycle of constant being hooked on prescribed medication.
Dependence on prescriptions.
Exactly.
No, that's really that's noble. That's noble, because that's a big time killer. That's a big time killer, and those medications, they aren't a cure. They just make you a customer. So I definitely support what you're doing. 110%, because it's the best way to do it, is try to do it organically. So I totally respect that. But I just got a last couple questions here for you, and this is a question here that I always like to ask the guests here at the Black Awareness Summit, and I want to ask this. With this movement going on, we've seen so many of the demonstrations. I've been to a couple demonstrations myself, helping out, and we're seeing them push really, really hard. But one big thing that I'm seeing is, as to where there was a lot of people in there that were, of course, our skin complexion and darker, but a lot of our non-melanated friends are out there really making their voice heard right now and trying to be allies. And they're pushing really hard, because just as much as we're tired of all black people getting clumped in together and fitting the script and things of that nature, there's also a lot of white people that are tired of being clumped in with racist and whatnot. So I guess my question for you is, from the perspective of a black woman, and you're seeing all this stuff going down, the climate of our country today, what do you think that our non-melanated friends could do to help the movement and not look like it's just, following a hashtag because it's exactly. What can they do to actually help the movement?
So what I find that, oh gosh, there's so many things. Again, you're asking all these great questions and they're so loaded. What I find hard is I see a lot of non-melanated people that are afraid to blatantly support the movement for whatever reason. Instead of saying Black Lives Matter, or instead of saying this is absolutely wrong, this is inexcusable and unacceptable, instead of saying anything like that, they're on the fence. They're kind of, oh, we must love one another, we got to pray. But that's not enough. That's not enough, because that's what we should always be doing. We should always be loving one another and pray. But right now, these people that need to be our allies, they need to make huge steps into being our voices, because you got to think about it. The type of people that are in our social, family, friends, and all of that, they're people who more than likely think the way we think. So we're preaching to the choir when we're sharing everything that we're sharing. But when we have these white people who are supporting us in their efforts, they're preaching to people that, these type of things is either teaching them or making them feel uncomfortable or having them realize how much of a racist they are. I currently have a person within the lupus community. Her Instagram account is called The Lupus Trainer, and she has been going hard almost every single day for specifically for the Black community. She is she's not a Black woman, but she is on her page every day telling us, stop telling people how to process their own trauma. She's telling you racism is real, even if you aren't a racist. White privilege is real, even if you don't feel it. Why is ending racism even a debate? She's on her page every single day saying that she made a post saying we can disagree on many things and still remain friends, but racism isn't one of them. There shouldn't even be an argument about it, you know?
No, there shouldn't.
And I think that right now is the time that these people who are considering or on the fence about it, like, just stop. You everyone knows that what we're seeing is unacceptable. And people want to say, well, George Floyd was the bad guy. He did this and did that. Okay, that's fine. I probably agree with you. He shouldn't have done certain things, but that is no excuse for him to be handled and murdered the way that he was. There is absolutely no excuse for that. We could go in all day on who did what and why. You know, think about Breonna Taylor. Like, she was actually
sleeping,
a nurse, and sleeping. And I mean, there's so many cases. So it's like, at what point? And these people that aren't speaking up, it's really making me it's making me question who they are and not even want to be friends with them anymore. Because it's like, how can you see something like this happen and you not be inclined to speak up? Like, it just is just weird to me, you know?
Yep. Trust me, I see it a lot. I've been seeing it a lot, but I've had to stomach it and deal with it and realize that people are just gonna be who they are. You know, it's gonna be too hard to turn those people around on their ideologies, but they need to understand that their silence is speaking mad volumes right now. We can hear you loud. We can hear you loud in your silence, and
they think that just because they don't experience it, that it doesn't happen. You know, they think that they know a cop who's a good guy. But, you know, there might be a lot of great police out there. But unfortunately, for a lot of these Black people, especially our Black men, we're encountering those couple of bad cops over and over and over and over and over and over again. So, you as a white person living in a privileged society or in a privileged world or whatever it might be, you're not experiencing it as we are. But, I mean, gosh, I could give you so many examples. I mean, me and my husband driving the same car, my same exact car, him speeding. He doesn't get pulled over. The cop pulls up on the side of him and gives him a warning and say, hey, slow down, bud. But when I'm driving the car, I'm not even speeding. I get pulled over and I get a ticket for a window tint that I have a doctor's excuse for because of my lupus. And then I go to court, of course, show the judge, and they excuse the ticket. But, I mean, it just goes to show you right there, that's outright racism. That's discrimination. That's unfair. My husband driving, and they think he's white. So, you know, for him to give him, oh, it's okay, dude. He had the same tinted windows I had when he was driving it. You know, so it's like, my husband may not experience it, but he's going hard for me. And every conversation that we have, and when sometimes it gets me so much I can't even talk anymore, he steps up for me. And he speaks up. And he uses his privilege in whatever way possible to let people know, hey, you know what I mean? Like, you're not experiencing it, you won't understand it, and even he doesn't fully understand it, but he's going to go hard for me. And sometimes I have to correct him. Hey, when you said that wasn't right, but he's willing to listen and learn and relearn and unlearn. You know, those are a lot of the words we're using now. And that's all that matters. People make mistakes on what they say all the time. Can you imagine if President Trump, of all people, even though as racist as he is, and the comments that he makes, can you imagine if he took a step back and said, America, you know what? It's time for me to relearn. I'm sorry. I've ignited this fuel of racism, and I want to say sorry, and I want to learn how I can help the Black community. Can you imagine if he even did that? How
That'd
powerful that would be?
Yeah.
Right?
That'd be so huge.
You know,
oh my gosh.
So if if these people who are, you know, our friends or consider themselves our friends, do you know how many people I've had to delete from my Facebook friends because we got into a conversation and they couldn't handle the truth that I was giving them, you know, because they just couldn't handle it, you know. So
they're not ready for it.
But it's okay, right? And they're letting their egos get in the way. It's okay if you're wrong. I'm wrong all the time. I'm sure I said something wrong today on this call. But if somebody calls me out on it, we can have a conversation about it, and that's okay.
Yep.
But people are afraid to be shamed. And then as soon as you say Black Lives Matter as a white person, right away, they take offense to it. They think it means their life doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, so I understand it's hard, but at this point, it's one thing to see it as hard, but to actually live in it every single day and it being hard. I don't live in it every single day, but I can completely empathize with a Black man who deals with this every single day. And these non-melanated people need to be able to do that too. You have to be human.
Yep. I agree.
You
no,
know?
That's just facts. I mean, that's just the cold truth right there. And that's what we're trying to get these people here to understand. And you spoke it and broke it down perfectly, that any person that considers themselves to be educated could possibly understand. Guys, we are not here to make you guys feel bad. We're not here to shame you guys. We're here to make you guys understand. We want to even out the playing field. That's all we want to do. And the only way that's going to be done is if we have those conversations. Just know it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay and it's okay to change your opinion based on new information that's been given to you that you maybe didn't understand before.
Right.
So it's okay. Nobody's going to call you a hypocrite. You know I'm not. If you're willing to meet me halfway, I'm not going to call you a hypocrite. I'm going to call you a growing person that is willing and open to learn. So you know, this was a great conversation. But before we end it here, I want to ask you one last thing here. Sure. Do you have any final thoughts, anything that you want to give out to my listening audience, the household, before we call this a really great episode? And then after that, just let them know where they can find you at.
You know, I really want to reach out, even though lupus affects, you know, every single person, including white people, including Hispanic, including men. But I really, really just want to take this moment. And just because I'm reaching out to Black women, it does not mean that other women dealing with lupus don't matter to me, because they do. But I just want to take a moment to reach out to Black women right now and to let them know that you are loved and you are supported, and that whatever you're going through, your depression, your anxiety, your hurt, your pain, it's normal. It is valid. And you're not weak because you share it. You know, you're not less of a person. Yes, it's okay to pray about it. Yes, it's okay to go into your closet and pray it away, but you need to talk to someone. You need to release it. You need to feel comfortable with speaking out about it. And there's people that's here and willing to help. I have been through so much that I had held in for so long that I ended up being, you know, this is embarrassing, but I ended up being diagnosed psychotic. I mean, as crazy as that might sound.
No, but you got to be honest about it. You know, you got to be honest about it.
Yeah.
And you have to own, you know what I mean? You have to own who you are. And it's all, you know what? But it's all part of holding that stuff in. You know what I mean? You hold it in so much that you don't talk about it. And I've had those feelings too, where it's like, it's maddening. It drives you crazy to a point where it's like, am I the only person that feels this way? You know? And then you keep it in for so long that you convince yourself that you're the only person who feels that way.
Exactly.
That's why it's so important to talk it out. So that was a big point. And it could be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be a therapist. And there is nothing wrong with getting therapy. It could be me. Yeah.
It could be me. People, you can literally reach out to me. My Instagram is Howse Foundation, and obviously that's HOWSE Foundation. Same thing on Facebook. I have a DM. I have my website, howsefoundation.com. I have my cell phone number there. Like, you can literally reach out to me, and there is no shame. I've had people DM me, and we just pray together, and we just pray and cry together, and that's okay. And I'm here for all of it. And I just want people to know that don't hide that in. You're not alone. There are so many people that know what you're going through. And, hey, if there's something that I don't fully understand, I'll find somebody who does and link you with them. You know, and it's power in feeling a connection and that support. So I hope that your listeners can at least take that away. And if it's not them that's dealing with it, that they could at least share it to someone else that might be going through something, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. We want to open up those lines of communication to help people out because it's important. You know, everybody deserves to exist. Everybody deserves to be here. Everybody's feelings are valid, you know, and I think it's very commendable what you're doing and the way that you've put yourself out there with the Howse Foundation and as honest and as raw that you were on this podcast. And, you know, I learned a lot about you myself that I didn't know. And that's one of the reasons why I was so happy to have you on, because, you know, we didn't really come up together seeing each other like that. So right. I'm happy to learn, and I'm happy to know more about my family and to just kind of understand a little bit better things that, you know, because I've been through stuff myself in my lifetime, and it's hard, once again, like I said earlier, it's hard to take yourself out of that mindset and try to put yourself into somebody else's. So to be able to sit down and talk to you and kind of hear your struggle and what you've gone through and your triumph from it, it really just makes me respect and love you even more as a family member. And I truly appreciate you taking some time to come onto the show and tell your story and tell your truth and just come and contribute to the movement. Thank you so much, for real. You bless my podcast.
Oh, thank you. And I love you too, cousin, always and forever. You and your wife. Your whole family.
I appreciate it. We love you too. Guys, that was the founder of the Howse Foundation, my family, my cousin. That was Kimberly Howse. Guys, this was another great episode. We're hitting them hard with this Black Awareness Summit. We're hitting them with what? Oh yeah, that's right. It's that work. So let me let you guys know where you guys can listen to this at. You guys can listen to this at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Himalaya. Hey, you don't have an Apple device? That's all right. We're on Google Play. Anywhere that you guys are, we can get to you guys. This was another excellent episode of the Black Awareness Summit. Hopefully we can keep you informed and get you educated. Guys, what are you doing? Buy a freaking shirt. That's www.prowrestlingtees.com/inyourhouse. Guys, every single cent is getting donated to the Minnesota Freedom Fund and also the Bell Project. So guys, go get you a shirt. And you know what you can do? Hop on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone. Because the household, well, we still going mighty strong. You guys have a good day and have a great rest of your week. Peace.